Hello everyone, this is Debbie from Ink and Page, and I am here today with a brand new project for you guys. This is called Index X, and it is a folio that is part of the Archivist collection. This project is basically the Archivist folio. It's where they keep all of their notes, all the artifacts they're tracking, anything like that. And this project is available in my Etsy shop right now. And this is going to be the assembly tutorial for that kit. So basically what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go through the papers that are included with the kit and give you a couple of little notes up front, and then we're going to go ahead and get started assembling the base. So this comes with a bunch of different papers. However, in order to keep things simple for this tutorial, I'm going to kind of try to tell you up front what I back things with, because it's a question that I get frequently. Okay, so everything is printed on 110-pound cardstock. The link is in the description below for the kind that I used, which is hammer mill. So if you need that information, you can find that in the description below. There are a few pages of this kit that are printed on paper. Those are noted in the kit. It says on the page, print on paper. So it'll be very clear what needs to be printed on paper. Everything else, cardstock. Okay, so this is the paper that I used for my cover. Okay, so this is what it looks like, the cover looks like in the kit. And this is what I double-sided onto it, okay? So, secondary to that is this paper, is what I use to put on the back of all of my ephemera. So, in order to keep things, simple, I backed all of my ephemera with this particular pattern, okay? So that when you are looking at ephemera in the kit and you're like wondering, you're not wondering like, what did she use to double side that? This is what I used for everything. So if you see this in when I'm working, this is the back of something, and then that you'll know that this is the front of something. So hopefully that will make it a little bit easier as we work through this assembly. Okay, so let's take a quick look at the rest of the papers. There's a washi strip page here. This is like a manila folder page for in case you want to make any manila folders. There's a lot of folders in the kit. Okay, so we have a light floral here, and then I have a dark one here. So just depending if you want to use less ink, you could choose this one. So just some flexibility options there. There's a leather cover here, which is a very close second for me. I did end up choosing the embossed one, but I really like that leather one too. So there's this stripe, and then we also have a harlequin. And we have a light, like kind of a linen cover, which actually would be quite nice as well. And a smaller floral that's kind of a little bit faded with a little butterfly on there. So, okay, so those are the papers. So now we're going to get started on the actual assembly of the folio. Okay, so for this part, you're going to need 2 of these guys. Okay, so this is the same exact piece. You just need to print 2 of them. Okay, you need to pick one spine. There's 2 different exterior spines in the kit, okay? And 2 different interior spines. So just pick the ones that you want and then print those ones out only. You don't need to print both of them. So, and you'll also need to print out there's like a lime green spine template. You also need that as well. I put it in one of my folders. I'll show that to you. Let's see when we get to it. I think here it is. I knew it was in here. Okay, so you also need to print this out as well. Okay, and they'll all be together in the kit, so you don't have to go hunting for it. Okay. All right, so we're going to start with these 2, and this, you need to decide what you want on your outside. So I definitely want to have my black on the outside of mine. Okay, so because this is the outside of the spine, I'm just going to go ahead and attach my my pages, sorry, my cover in right here. And if you did any of my other covers, you pretty much know the drill here. The only difference is here is that it has these like actual like fold out flaps to accommodate as well. Okay. All right. So what I'm going to do here is grab my inking tool here, and I'm gonna just go down here so that it's clear where the line is on here. So it makes it a little bit easier for me to glue that on there and easier for you guys to see what I'm doing. Okay, so here's my outside. Here's this. I'm not sure that there's a really super right way or wrong way for these. So whatever pleases you is good. Okay, so we're just going to put glue on here to get this assembled together. Okay, and then I'm going to pop this one right on there. You just want to go up to the fold without getting into the fold, if that makes sense. And then just try to get those as even as possible, because you want that still to fold over when you're done. Okay, so this is your inside, and then this is going to be the outside. Okay, so here we go. So now I'm just going to do this side. And then once we have that done, our folio base is done, and we're going to move on to the fun part, which is putting all the stuff into it. Okay, so this is going to go on the outside. And right up to that edge without going over it. There we go. Okay, so we have this. This is going to fold in together like this, and then we're going to fill up the inside right now. Okay. All right, so I got that there. Okay, so actually before we start filling it up, I got a little bit ahead of myself. Let's talk about quickly what's going to go inside here. So this is going to be right here. We're going to put like a signature of folders. So it's not going to be, it's going to be like, it won't be like a traditional like journal signature that's going to go in here. It's just going to be a signature of folders. So like, there's 3 different folders in the kit here, and this is what they look like. This is what it looks like in the kit. And I printed flowers on the inside of my folders. And here's the other one. And a harlequin on this one. Okay, so there's 3 folders, and they have the 3, oops, is this one backwards? You gotta make sure they're all the right way. Okay, so they'll go like this, right? So they'll have the 3 tabs like this. Okay, and then basically all you have to do is decide which one of these you want to put your pages in. Okay, because only one of them has pages, or you could put pages in all 3 of them and split these up if you wanted. But the way that like I designed this is so that you have pages for one of them, and then you have 2 pocket setups, 2 different pocket setups for the other 2 folders. So, but if you wanted to, you could put 1 page in all of them, or you could print multiples of these pages. This is one of the items in the kit that is going to be printed on paper. Okay, so let's see, I think I'm going to do, I like that for the outside. I think this is a good setup. Okay, so in order to put this together, we just have to quickly punch a couple of holes into the actual pages here. So I'm going to get my little container here. So you just basically need a pokey tool and some clips. Hold this all together. All right. This is kind of a small scale binding here because it's only 3 pages into a folder. So we could do that all pretty much at once. Actually, we could just attach this folder. I think I'm going to have, this will be my yeah, this will be the folder that I use. So I'm gonna just kind of lay these guys in here how I want them. Okay. And then I'm just gonna clip it so that they stay in place. I'm gonna grab one more clip here. Okay, now I'm gonna grab I'm gonna put my 2 folders over here really quick. I'm gonna grab my little spine template here, and then I'm just gonna fold it in half. I'm just gonna grab my bone folder here and just give that like a good crease. Okay. All right, and this can go right in the center here, and I'll grab my little book here to punch this guy. Okay, so I'm going to put that down kind of in the crease, and then I'm just going to center my little template here from top to bottom. I'm going to make sure I'm not too... And then I'm just going to poke my holes here. It should go through pretty easily because of the, you know, you're not punching through like a huge signature full of pages, you know, this is pretty simply. Okay, so we've got that done. Okay, so that's our first thing that we have to do. And then our second thing that we have to do is get our interior spine, which is the one with the dots. And we're just going to poke our holes in that. Just careful you don't poke your finger while you're doing this. Okay. Oh, and we need to actually poke holes in these ones too. We can just grab our spine template and do that really quick. Just kind of... If I had thought about it, I should have punched this at the same time that I punched... Actually, you know what I could do is just do this and use this as the template. You could just have stacked all 3 of these together. It just didn't occur to me at the time that I could have done them all together. But yeah, you could just stack them all together and just poke the holes. Since I didn't do that, I'll just do it like this now. So to make sure I got all the way through on that one. Yeah. Okay. Alright, so those are all done. This is all done. So now we're going to do a quick 3-hole pamphlet stitch and get all of this in there together. Okay, so I'm going to leave 2 of the clips on just so that this doesn't move around too much. And then you just have to organize your folders in the correct order, or the order that you prefer. Okay, so I think I'm going to go... Should I go with the top? Okay, like so. I think that's a good order. I'm going to start with my lowest one, I want to make sure that my pages are the right side up. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and get started on this. I'm going to grab a needle here, and we're just going to grab some thread here. I usually go 3 for each signature. We may need a little bit less for this one because it's so, like, it's not like a normal signature. I'm going to bind these 3 in succession. If you prefer, you can bind them in one at a time. I'll talk you through this here as we do it. Let's see, which way do we want to have this be? Okay, so I'm gonna thread my needle, and then I'll grab my first folder. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna come up through that first middle hole. Here. Okay, and then we'll come through the middle hole on the folder. Just be careful not to pull too hard because you don't want to pull your tail through. I have done this so many times. Okay, now once you have that, you can put your, I'm sorry, where's my, okay, so through the top hole, and then through the top hole in the interior spine template there. And then we're going to go all the way down to this bottom hole here. And then we're going to go to the bottom hole in the folder. Okay. And then just hold on to this tail piece so that you don't accidentally pull it through. Okay, so you just pull that firmly and then go through the middle here. And then through the middle also of the back piece here. Okay, so what you want to do is bring your needle up on the opposite side of the middle thread here so that, oops, pull that through. I totally got it caught on the corner there. Okay, so pull this through here, but hold on to this guy here so that you don't. Okay, so you see how you have one tail on this side and then you have your like live thread on this side. Okay, so if you were going to tie these off one at a time, you can cut this thread. I'm gonna just tie this here like this, and then I'm gonna keep going. Okay, instead of cutting it, I don't see any reason to cut it. I guess I've always done it like this, so I'm just gonna keep doing it that way. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to do the second one, okay? So we're going to go to the middle hole here. We're going to come up through the middle. Okay, and then I'm going to grab my next folder, which is this one, and make sure it's right side up. And then I'm going to go through the middle hole in everything, all my pages and my folder. Okay, pull that up, and then we're just going to do the same thing. So through the top hole, all the way down to the bottom, yeah, through the bottom hole there, and then back through the center hole. Once you get the hang of this, it's super quick. Okay, so I'm going to come up in here. And I'm going to come up. Oops. It's definitely caught on something. Okay, so the tail's going to stay on that side, and then this tail's going to be on this side, okay? Make sure that's nice and tight. I don't think it's all the way. Let me just make sure it's okay. Yeah, so just give it like a visual check. You don't want to pull it too hard, but you want to pull it firmly. Okay, so then you can do another little knot here if you like, or you can just keep going. Just gonna go underneath there. Pull this up. Okay. Just wanted to give that another little quick eyeball. All right, and then here, we'll go through here. This middle one. And then we're gonna grab our last folder and we're gonna put that one in. So just a quick little, right through the middle of that. Do the top hole, do the top hole. And then down to the bottom. To the bottom here. Should I pull that firmly? Okay, and then through the middle again. And then you're gonna make sure you come up on the outside here of this, okay? So that when we tie it, this will like be in the middle. Pull that. And then I'm just gonna go under here. And then I'm gonna bring it back to this beginning just to tie the beginning and the end together. You don't necessarily have to do it like that. That's like how I prefer to do it. So you could always tie it off just there as well. And then I'm going to tie this one more time and I'll trim it. And we can get to gluing it into the actual folio. So we'll have our little, this is our little folder piece now. I can take my clips off because everything's in there securely. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do here is this is gonna fit right in to this space right here, okay? And then we'll drop some glue on the actual knots as well. So, because that, I think that kind of helps keep everything nice and sturdy. And then I'm gonna put glue on here. You could also use a combo of tape and glue too if you want. I find I get into trouble with tape on spines because if you don't like get everything down perfectly right the first time, you could get into trouble if you have to move it around. Glue gives you that little bit of extra bit of, you know, wiggle room. Okay, so I've got that there. I've got that there, double checking everything. Okay, so I'm gonna put this here. I tried to make everything on the cover so that there was no upside downing on the cover so that everything would just kind of be able to be flexible and go either way. Oh, whoops. Okay, I'm just trying to move this back up here. This is the hard part because it's like kind of hard to put pressure on it when you have all this stuff already in there. Let me just make sure that's okay. I feel like I'm a little bit off on this side. Alright, and then you can just go in between the signatures and do your little Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and do my two sides here. And having this kind of inner spine here is going to help just reinforce your outer spine as well. So it's kind of like double duty here for keeping everything just nice and sturdy on the inside. Okay, so now we're going to push this down here. And get this side so it's... And look at that, we're on our way here. All right, so we've got our... I gotta make sure that that still folds in, huh? Just make sure everything... Yeah, that looks pretty good. Okay, it's glued down in there. Okay, great. Okay, so now we have the folders are sewn in. Okay, so now also in this kit are these panels here. There's a bunch of different ones, and they are so that if you would like to cover these panels up in here with something that looks, that's like a little bit more decorative, like see how, because this panel has the split, I thought it would be nice to be able to have the option of covering that up so that it doesn't look quite like, you know, it looks a little bit nicer to have just this here too. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and put this down on this side. I'm not going to do it on the other side, and I'll show you why in a second. So I'm going to use some tape here because I've already got a bunch of glue down right there. Okay, so I'm just going to line this up with this edge here because I don't want to interfere with my... Okay, and I have my extra panel in there, and I scored the, or it's not scored, but like repressed this with the bone folder so that it would have a good bend to it. So now what we're going to do is we're going to start adding in our ephemera pieces. And what we're going to do is start here. This is going to be like, we're going to go from left to right here. And we're going to start with this panel here, which I'm going to call panel number 1. And for that one, you're going to need this ephemera, which are these little pretend books and notes here. That's what this is here. And then this panel here, which is this floral one. And then these two little slotted panels here. Okay, and the way that I cut these guys out was to punch. I just used a regular hole punch. I tried to size these so that it would be the width of like an average sized hole punch. So this, I just punched either end, and then I literally just took scissors and cut down the top line and cut down the top and then cut down the bottom line. And it was pretty, that went pretty quickly, and it was pretty simple, and it doesn't have to be perfect because you're going to be putting a whole bunch of stuff in it. So it's not a big stressor, but you know, using the scissors for me was so much easier. Okay, so what we're going to do here is we're just going to glue this around the edge. Make sure you do not glue it in here, or else you won't have anywhere to put your ephemera. Okay. So we're going to put this one down on the top, and I can put this up here actually, so hopefully it'll be easier to see if I do it like this. Just gonna want to center that there, and then we'll put this one down. This part will be super easy. So this will be like what you kind of, when you first open the folio, you'll see this little panel with all these different pieces of ephemera in them. And I did do like a bunch of book covers and stuff, so it could kind of be like a faux little library situation right there as well. And some little lined panels too, so that like if you want to put a little note on there. Okay, now let's see. Let's go ahead and put it, this is just going to fit right on here like this. So we're going to quickly do that. Whoops, I got a little crazy with the glue there. Okay, so there's that. And then we just pop this guy right on here. Okay, and then you have these little guys here that just go right into these little racks. And then you can organize this however you like it. I think this, like, I don't love cutting stuff out like this, but I definitely feel like this was kind of worth the effort, because I think it's going to look super cool when you open this up and you see all the stuff there. And there's like some mixed ephemera in the kit, as well as a whole bunch of these little labels, and like there's labels for words and also like labels like for just like random numbers and stuff like that. So you could, you know, mix those in there too. And then there's also bunches of fussy cuts and stuff. So if you want to put in stuff that's like more ephemera oriented, where are the, I think they're over here. So like this kind of stuff, like if you want to put in like a little reliquary box or whatever in here as well, or an actual like little book here, or like a little gem, you could do that as well. Okay, so I'm just gonna, for right now, stick the little books in there. There's all kinds of assorted stuff in there though, so you can really go to town and put in whatever you want in there. My little books and my little statue. Okay, there we go. Hopefully this won't fall out too much while I'm trying to do the rest of it. Okay, so now we can go on to our second one here, and I'm going to grab that one. Got a little bit of glue on here, it looks like. Okay, just to make sure it doesn't affect my folio. Okay, so this is our little mini books section. Okay, so to do this one, we're going to do a couple of prep things. Okay, so the first thing we have to do is, this piece is the cover, and we're going to cut that in half. Okay, on the line there. There's like a little line there. Okay, so we're going to cut that in half because this is our front cover and our back cover. And then we have these, and in the kit, these look like this, and you're just going to fold them in half, and we're going to glue them together, okay? And then we're going to assemble everything into one book. Now, if you wanted to, you could leave, like, the tops of these open so that they're pockets. So if you wanted to, you could, like, put little bits and pieces of ephemera and stuff in there. So, or you could just completely glue them shut so that they are just, like, essentially one page. So there's a little bit of flexibility in there for that one. Fold that one. Alright, there's a couple of these to do, and each one has the artifact, and then on the back it has like artifact names, like what the artifact is, and various and other sundry items, just depending on which one it is. I know one of them says do not touch. I'm going to make all of these so that I can tuck stuff inside of them if I want to. Usually I would have double-sided it, but apparently I didn't think that far ahead of time, so hopefully you won't be able to see inside this pocket anyway. Okay. That one goes in here. And the last one. Okay, and then fold this guy over. Okay. All right, so you can put them in either way. I'm going to put mine in so this folded edge is on the outside, just so that it looks a little bit neater on that outside edge. I over-taped right there. Okay, so now we're going to line these guys up. You can have whichever one be the front, whichever one you want to be the front, and then whichever one you want to be the back, like this. And then we're going to put a hole right here and put a brad through it so that this thing like can be fanned out, you know, so that when you look at it. So I have my little brads right here. So I'm going to grab one of them out of here. Oops. Okay. And then I'm just going to grab my hole punch and we'll punch a little hole in it. Okay, so let me just make sure these guys are all lined up. And everything is facing the same way. Okay, perfect. I'm just going to punch a hole through this. Let's see if I can get all of them at once. Oops, let me go this way. I don't think it's going to let me do them all at once. There we go. Okay, so now I just have to feed these all through this brad here. I may have to do that like one at a time. There we go. You could also put these on a ring if you wanted. I just don't have a ring handy, so I thought, oh, I'll just use a brad. And also, I like the idea that it can kind of be like flashcards. Just gonna split this so that it can kind of be like, you know, like that when you look at it. Okay, now we're gonna grab the second one. Okay, so this is the second little mini book, and this is like kind of more of a sketchbook, notebook type thing. I did mess up and accidentally print the wrong paper on these two pieces here, just so you know. So this is what it looks like in the kit, like this, and then this is what I printed on the back. So just so you're aware that I messed up there with the thing. Okay, and then we have these that go in here. Now this is rounded on the edges, so if you want, you can round the corners of the inside stuff as well. Thought it would be kind of cool if for the book, like some of the pages were kind of braggy on the edges and maybe hanging out a little bit. So it's kind of up to you guys on how you want yours to look. One of these is already rounded because of the design. And then this little book too, you could totally put some of the ephemera from the kit in here as well. Just so, you know, so that you could personalize it a little bit. I did put like some papers that had like sciencey stuff on it, you know, but, you know, it's just a bunch of different random stuff. So you could decorate it however you want. Okay, and here, like so. Yeah, see that, like, I think it'd be fun if these were like not even, if that makes sense. Like if they were kind of a little bit messed up. So imperfect, even though it kind of goes against my situation. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and quickly, I'm gonna just use the pamphlet stitch to bind this. Because like I don't need to have like a template or anything for this one, because I just kind of want to have it be like casual. But you could put this, you could leave it unbound and leave it like a folder. It's completely up to you. You could add it. There are tabs in the kit, so you could add tabs on it if you wanted. I just wanted to do like a quickie, like little book binding on this one. You could even just tie it with a string all the way around it. It's completely up to you how you might want to do the actual binding. You know, this for me is like probably the quickest thing that I could think of in terms of binding, because like you could even tab bind it if you wanted to. It's just kind of up to you what you want to do there. I'm just going to come out there. And the same thing as before, we'll go in the top. My tail is still in there. There we go. And then we'll go the bottom, and then just right through the middle here. And the fun thing about this is we could like add a charm or a key or something to this as well, just to kind of add to the extra mystery of the whole thing. So I'm going to tie this here. And then I'm going to let these strings go down longer than usual here so that I can add a charm or something to this at the bottom. Okay, so now I have my little messed up book, and I have this little book here too. And then, so we have ephemera to decorate the fronts of these with later. I'm gonna try to focus on getting the actual, you know, base of the ephemera, base of the folio assembled first. Okay, so let's grab this. I'm gonna go ahead and do tape on these. Okay, so these pockets can go on basically however you want. You know, they can go in a couple different ways. You can put them on in whatever orientation that you want to put them on. I'll show you how I envisioned it, but like, and also all these panels are modular. So if you would like to rearrange them, they're all modular, so they can all be rearranged to whatever order that you want. Or if you wanted to make like a half folio, you could do that. Okay, so I got this. Okay, so I'm going to put these on here. Okay, so you could put these on so they face opposite ways like this, or you could put them on so they go like this, which is how I'm going to do mine. So there's a couple, you know, even a couple of options there for pocket arrangement. And then the books will just go right inside these. I'm going to try to get those kind of closest to the edge there, so that my book can have maximum room to go inside. So they just slide right in there, just like that. And we can also decorate and label these as well. There's like I guess a layer process of putting this all together. You know, you have to do it layer by layer, step by step. Okay, so here's this piece right here. Oops. That's not quite straight here. There we go. Okay, and then these guys just can slide right in there. Just like so. Okay, so we'll leave those for right now, and then move on to this panel here. And this is going to be a super fun one. Okay, this one is going to be our paintings waterfall. Okay, so for that one, you're going to need all of these little pockets that look like this. I think there's 5 of them total. And then you need the 5 different painting waterfalls. And then each one of them has a card and a label that goes with it. Okay, and everything is organized in the kit, so they're all together. So just go ahead and keep them together. However, if you want to mix them up, you can totally do that too, because there's literally no rules. You can use whatever you want for whichever painting that you want. So it's not a particular like rules or anything associated with that. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do here is we're going to put pockets on the back of all of these guys, okay? And then that will allow us to put our labels and stuff like that, and so that everything kind of sticks together and doesn't get mixed up. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do this one first. so that's gonna go on this one here. I got a bunch of glue on my mat here. Okay, that one's gonna go on there, just like that. And then I'm gonna go ahead and stick my card in here. Okay, and then my label on here. This one's the Garden After Midnight. So I'm gonna go ahead and put my label. Oops, there's a little piece of paper caught on there. Okay. All right, so that one is ready to go. Okay, so now we're gonna do our next one. This one is going to be Portrait of a Lady Unknown. Okay, so let's start with our pocket. Oops. We'll do this side. This is probably my favorite part of the entire folio. First, I love a waterfall. Second, I love paintings. So, and even though these are fake paintings, it doesn't make a lot of difference. Okay, so this one goes in here. There we go. I'm going to flip that over and glue the title of the painting on here. All right, next one up. This one is, oh, this is the Concert by Vernier. This one is actually this is a real paint. This one's the only real painting in the list, and it is really stolen. So I thought it would be, my whole idea here was kind of inspired by the, the Stuart Museum heist in Boston. So I thought it'd be nice to put a little like painting from that heist into the folio as kind of a honor to that event and hope that those paintings will be recovered. Oh, whoops, I grabbed the wrong one. This is the thing. So there actually is no painting in this one since it's missing. This on the front. Okay, now we're going to be doing the Unwitnessed Hour. Oops, that one goes with that. This one's going to go on here, just like so. The little card goes in the back, and a little label on the front. Okay, and then we're going to do our last one here, which is going to be, this one is, Threshold number 7. Okay. Okay, here's this one. Alright, we'll pop our card in there. Oops, that was a little bit off. Okay, now we're going to pop our card in and put our label on the front. Okay. I have a lot of glue in my hands. Okay. All right, now we have to put the waterfall into the folio here. So we are going to, so basically you can pick, you know, you can decide what order do you want to have these guys be in. Like, okay, I think I'm going to put my veneer at the end. Okay, let's do it like that. I'll put my lady on the top here. Okay, so basically what you're going to do here is you're going to glue this first one down and then use this as the spacer as we go down. So I'll show you if that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So we're going to just put some glue on this here. Okay, now we're going to try to center this guy here. There we go. We can go a little bit over a little bit. That's pretty good. Okay, so now I'm going to flip this up here. And then I'm going to get my second one. And we'll just put this on the flap here. Okay, and then you're just going to line this up right here, just like that. And then you're just going to want to have, oops, this here, just so you can make sure your paintings are in the same kind of order there. Oops. All right, now I'll get the next one, and we'll just keep going down the line here. Okay, and then we'll go with the last one here. The glue on mine is still a little bit wet, just so you. So they're kind of bendy, if that makes sense, in the way that things get when the glue is still wet. Okay, let me do this one. Like so, and then we'll do the last one. Okay. All right, and there we go. Now we've got all of our paintings in here. Okay, so now that one's in. So let's flip over here. We could do our pockets really quickly for our folders in the middle. There was a couple sets of pockets, and there's 2 envelopes as well that can go into the pockets. And you just have to kind of decide which pockets you want to have go where. There's also this like kind of like super long and narrow envelope. So let's go ahead and assemble all of those right now. And we'll just pop them right into the folder as we're going through here. Okay, let's see. I guess we'll start, should I start with putting, let's see what my other folder looks like, just so I can decide which Oh, I printed wild stuff on both of them. Okay, let's go ahead and put this in here. I'll use tape on this one. Okay, here we go. Okay. All right, so now we're just gonna pop this one here. And then I have this envelope, this like kind of tall envelope to go in there. So we can just put this guy together. You just need to put adhesive on this side right here. And this side right here. And then we're just gonna fold it up. And we have a handy little envelope here. In there. Okay, and then this side, we have double pockets with envelopes. I'm gonna go ahead and do tape for the pockets, and then we'll glue the envelopes. Okay. All right, we'll do one, say about here. Let's see. Was that where the tab is? I think I'll put this. So make sure that fits okay in there. Okay. And then this here. And then this one. Let's kind of line that up. Go there. Okay, so we can take our envelopes. Where? Oh, there's the other one. All right, and we will just put a little bit of adhesive on these. You just look at the fronts of these. Okay. All right, so let's just go ahead and put a little bit of glue here. And, oops, I went a little crazy there. That should be okay. And then we'll do the same thing on this one. And then we just stick these guys right in here. Okay, and then we'll come back we can put some ephemera in those too as well. Okay, and this is our little book, so we'll skip that guy for right now. And then we have this one here, and we have a bunch of different pockets for in here. And so we kind of figure out what we want to do in here with these two, let's see. So we can do this. That's, I could put one of these on the front here. And one on the back too. I'm gonna put the two big ones on the inside. Let's do that. But it is, again, like I said, you could, it's completely flexible and you can do whatever feels right for your archivist. You could even turn these inside out if you wanted and turn them into these would work as crisscrosses if you wanted to. I always look at everything and I'm like, how can I use that differently? This also kind of jazzes up the front here of this folder since it is kind of boring. But I don't know, I guess archivists probably don't have super exciting file folders. Alright, let's put this one on here. You know, open this up here and put these guys in here. Okay. It's kind of fun to flip through it. I don't know. I think I like to flip through it and look at the stuff. I just love the way that it comes together like a little book. Oops, I think I need it. Oh wait, I might need to put a weight on those, huh? I probably shouldn't have stuck the books right in there or right after I put them down, but sometimes I can't help it. I want to see it all together. Side, and then we'll have to get some ephemera to put in here as well. Okay, and then I also have a long pocket and a belly band for wherever you feel like those might fit the best, you know. I think that's going to go really well right there. I'm going to hang on to my belly band just until I see what I want to put where. So I can just put my belly band inside here in my pocket here, just hang on to it until I'm ready to place that where I want to. Okay, so now we're moving on to this one here. This one's going to be super fun too. Okay, so for this one, you need these pieces right here. So you need this little folder situation that's going to go right here. And then you also need, there's going to be a bunch of little pieces of ephemera that go with this that you will also need. Let me grab those really quick and we'll get started. Okay, so here's the little pieces for this. Okay, they look like this. There's a bunch of cards and stuff. And then also you are going to need, you don't have to have this, but I'm going to show you the plan with this thread here. So if you have any thread or string or whatever you use to bind the little mini books in here so far, that would work great too. Because what we're going to do is we're going to make an evidence board to go in here. So basically the way this works is this folder is going to go in here. This is going to actually be our evidence board. Before you start working on your evidence board, make sure that you don't, I think I need to trim mine slightly so it fits in here perfectly. As you can see where I didn't quite get it on the edge there. Because of the, I think I cut that out with the scan and cut, and sometimes it'll cut just outside the line. So I'm just going to grab this little paper cutter here, and I'm going to shave off the, like, the barest minimum here. Because I can see, like, a tiny bit of white on this side. And you just want to make sure that your back piece fits inside your thing and it closes, you know, nicely, just like this. Okay, because you're gonna put we're gonna put a bunch of stuff on the board, so you want to make sure that it fits in there pretty well. What I ended up cutting off was actually, I don't think it was cut straight. Maybe I hand cut that, but this is what I cut off of mine. You may or may not need to do that. It just really depends on, like, a myriad of things. The type of paper, the thickness of the paper, you know, that type of thing. Okay, so we're going to make our evidence board, and then we're going to stick everything in. So this here is going to actually go on this panel right here. So you don't need to cover this panel up unless you really, really want to. And then you also have the option of, if you want this to be the inside, and then they could fold over like this as well. And you could technically do your evidence board, I guess, directly on this folder, but I just think it'd be sturdier if it was on a separate piece. So you just have to decide, like, this is what I printed on the back of this, and this is what it looks like in the kit. You just have to, so you can control what your outside flaps are by what you print on the back of this if you would like. Okay, all right, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put this down on here. Before we start building the evidence board. And we have lots of evidence to put on it, so. I really want to make sure this sticks, which is why I'm using so much tape. Oops. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to put this guy on here, and I'll just try to center it. Okay, now I'm going to fold this up here temporarily. Okay, and now let's talk about evidence. Okay, so here's all of our little pieces of evidence. There's also some circles in here, which we're going to use for our policy closure for this. Okay, so there's all kinds of evidence of here. I've got some little bits and pieces here. So that's what we're looking for, is the velvet reliquary. And there's little bits and pieces of evidence that you can attach here to the thing. And I thought it would be fun if we attached it with brads and then ran string from, you know, one to another. So I put two little pieces of fabrics. You could kind of pick which color you wanted. There's a little piece of a map here. This is recovery, high priority. There's like a gem, a coin, and a little tiny envelope. So I'm going to glue my envelope together here because I want to put that like on here. So I'm just going to glue the whole thing together so that it doesn't come apart. I'm just going to hold that for a second. Okay, let's get started on our evidence board here. I have poked all the holes in my ephemera, and I just have to poke the holes in here as I'm arranging it. So what I did is I created this little spacer for, and you just slide it right under here. I did it by poking a hole, and then I just kind of cut out an angle so that it will have a little space to slide on here when I'm doing the brad, so that it will leave enough room for the thread to go underneath it when I want to connect it all. Now, if you're not using brads, if you're just gluing these down, what I would do is glue the string underneath it, like as you're putting down your ephemera, just go ahead and put the string underneath it, and that'll connect everything together. Or you don't have to use the string at all. It's up to you. I just thought it would look cool to have a board with like red string in the actual folio. Okay, so let's get started on this. So I'm going to leave this on here. This is how this works, like this. You slide this on here, like so, and then you put this on the back, just like that. And I will just buzz through and do the rest of them. So I got to get my little thing up there. Okay, so this is going this guy here. Okay, and I changed to slightly larger brads because the other heads didn't, there was a space issue here with the, like, if you want, you have to have the thread has to be able to wrap around something, and the other heads were so tiny that there was almost no room for the thread under there. So I just went ahead and switched to bigger brads to make this, the whole process a little bit easier. I can do that. And then just, you know, when you're doing the thing, just don't do it like super, super tight. And then this will just slide right off, really easy. Okay, so let's get the rest of these guys going. We can put our gem on, like right about here, I think is where it was. I always carefully like lay everything out, and then I go to do it and it's like all moved around from my original idea. But it's okay, it doesn't matter. Okay, so I got that one on there. Alright. And it lets them move a little bit too, which I think actually is kind of nice. Okay, so let's see. We're going to do this one here. And I have to look a little behind the scenes info here, as I took a little bit of a break because I was getting kind of hungry, and it's never ever good to do anything when you're hungry. And so I went and I looked in my little cabinet, and I found like a little piece of black lace. So I'm gonna add that to my purple velvet swatch, just to have a little bit of extra texture on here. So if you guys want to add a little, like, or even just use real fabric instead of this. I didn't have anything that I wanted to use. Like, I have like pieces of like cotton and stuff, but not really velvet. So I just decided I'm going to use that scrap paper with this here. Okay. Let's see. Let's put our, I'm going to put our lady right here. I think I just got to leave room for my reliquary box as well. Okay, so we'll put our lady here. All right, there's another one down here. Let's pull this out. Okay, and then let's do our letter. That's gonna go like right down here about, and our map piece. I love this tiny envelope so much. I think I might do a tiny envelope kit. I don't know if you guys would be interested in that, but I feel like, oops, I forgot to put that guy on there. I feel like that would be just such a fun kit to have a ton of tiny envelopes. Because this was like such a fun, it was fun to make. It looks cute. I really like it. So, okay, so let's see, what else do we have here? Okay, so I have my fabric swatch. I have my reliquary box. I added the reliquary box. I didn't have it before. I was going through the ephemera too while I was on my little break, and I saw it and I was like, oh, I have to include that. So this was not in my original plan. Okay, so I think I'm going to go right there with the reliquary box. Okay, let's put a hole. I'm not being like super meticulous about where the holes are going and stuff. I want this to kind of look like it was like done over time. Like different pieces were added at different times. So the spacing, you know, can be a little messy or tight in places so that it looks like, oh no, we have to fit this in here, you know, this piece of evidence was gathered. So, okay, here's this one here. And then I just have this here, which is my lace and my velvet. So I'm just going to poke that right through there. I was hoping to make it look like it was a little bit torn. I feel bad tearing lace. Does anybody else feel bad tearing lace? I just felt bad doing it. Oops, I gotta put my thing on first. Okay, and then let's make a hole, like, yay, about here, I think. And then pop this guy in there, and then we can put our string on. And hopefully that will go nice and quick. There we go. I'm gonna pull this down here. Okay. There we go. And that goes there. And then we have this little card that's gonna go like down in this right here. And I can kind of, oops, I forgot to pull that out. Okay, so I gotta pull all that. I think that's good. This will be good here. Okay, so I have my thread here. So I think I'll start with, I was going to start with the moth, but I think I'm going to start with this lady here. Just tie like a little knot there. Okay, all right, so then let's just go, and this could be a little trickier because of the lace, huh? Okay, so I got that one. Let's see, where should we go next? Let's go over to the diamond. And then let's go down to this one. And then let's see. Up to this here. Oops. Go there. And then we could go over to this guy right here. What would be nice is if I didn't have them all crisscrossing in front of everything. Does that make sense? Like there. Go there. All right, so I'm just gonna arrange these a little bit to my liking. Okay, there we go. And then I'm gonna come across. I'm gonna go from this one here. I want that to go under. Oh, I want that here. And then I'm gonna just move this slightly. And then I'm going to go to the wax seal on the little fragment of parchment. In order to get that over there, though, I'm gonna go underneath. So I'm just gonna use this needle to help me get it over under. Okay, so for this one, we'll tie a knot. Let's see here, I don't know if it'll be easier to use the needle or not. There we go. I think I'm gonna go ahead and leave that. We could even hang like a charm or something from that. I'm gonna have this go over the box, that box right there, just so it kind of looks like it crisscrosses everything. I think maybe, like, what if we added like a tiny key on there? Have this like drawer of keys. Got a little one right here. Let's see if I can get this through without a needle. I might need to get one. Move that through there. Then we have another piece of evidence here. There's actually, I'll show you guys when I'll show you the ephemera. I'm gonna actually probably end up having to divide this into 2 videos because it's like running extremely long. So probably I'll show you the ephemera probably in the beginning of the next video. But there is actually a portrait of a little kid holding a key, so that like could go along with this. There's lots of different ephemera included in this kit, so you can tell tons of different stories. So like whatever the story is that you have in your head for your archivist, you know, you can make that happen. Okay, so now this is all done. So what I'm going to do, just for the sake of like smoothness, I guess is what I would use this. I'm going to take this, like, this is just like plain washi tape, and I'm just going to go over my brad pokey hole thingies so that they don't dig into the paper behind them. It's just like a little insurance policy on those. Not necessary. I just want to do it just to make sure that everything stays where it's supposed to stay, and these little pokey ends don't, you know, create like a problem on the back of the paper. And this is just regular normal washi tape. It just happens to be this beigey weird color. It's really good for like reinforcing like stuff. Like even if I need to hold something down so it will like the glue will like stick, then this peels just right off. Okay, so I got this down. I've got this. So I'm going to open my folio back up, and then this is going to go in here. And so we're going to glue this down. I'm probably going to use a combination of glue and tape for this, just because I think it makes it helps, really shore things up. Okay, so let me see, where's my tape? All right. So I'm going to go around the edges with the tape, and then I will go ahead and do the middle with the glue. This should be relatively easy to place because it's between these two, I don't know, they're not spines, but they're the two bends in the folder, or the folds in the folder, I guess. Okay. All right, let's pop this guy right in here. Just go all the way up to the fold. And then drop that down. Make sure everything folds in really well. Okay. So now we have our little cute evidence board in here. And I have my other piece of, this is my like other card. Like this came with like 3 different cards. So you could put the cards wherever you would like to put them. This one is, I made sure these would fit in these 2 areas, or like this would fit in there. You could, whatever arrangement you like. I actually want a mini paper clip, not a real one. Okay. So do a mini paper clip here. So I'll have this one here. So we have all the information about our artifact, and it's all in there. Okay, so the last thing that we have to do here is put on our policy closure on this, because this is going to need a closure. Okay, so I'm going to use, there's 2 different ones. One's with an X, and then one's just like normal. So you can use whichever one you want. I'm going to go ahead and poke a hole in the center of my X here. Another one in the center of this X. And for this one, I think I can use well, actually, maybe I should make the brads all match for this. Okay. All right, so I got 2 brads. And so just kind of got to decide, I want to make sure this just goes like just inside here. I'm just going to poke the hole in the same place that I poked it. There we go. We'll put the X on here. I might not have made this big enough. There we go. So then I have that one there. And what we can do is put this one, the one, whatever one you don't use, or you can just punch a 1-inch circle. That's what this is, out of this same paper if you, or I'm sorry, this same paper if you want, so that it's a little bit more camouflaged. But it should be, like, either way, it should be fine. I don't think it's going to stick out, even though I'm using this, because you kind of want to cover up that brad so that it doesn't get caught on anything. I'm just going to go ahead and put a clip on this, just temporarily, to hold that on there till it glues. And then I will go over here and do this side. Okay, oh, here's my X. Okay, so I already have my hole in there. So I just want to line this one up here. And then poke my hole for this one. Okay, here's the brad. I'll just move this guy out of the way. There we go. And then we'll glue this on top of that. And also, I'm going to clip it because it's gluing it kind of onto an uneven surface. So it'll help to have that little bit of extra pressure. And then in a few minutes, we can come back and add we'll add some of the string on there. I'm not sure. I'm tempted to add the red, but I might just use like the same thread that I used to bind with, this one here. That's gold, so that the red is just saved for in here. Okay, so let's go on to the next panel. I take those off probably because I'm just going to fold this. I'm going to fold this in so that we have the space to do this one. Okay, so this panel is up. Okay, so this section is your file folder section. So for this, we're going to need these. Oops, that's the wrong side. Sorry. These 3 pockets, these 3 big pockets, and then you're going to need 3 of the file folders. There's an extra one in here. It's the one that has the middle tab. There's 2 of those. Because I thought maybe you might want to have an extra one for putting somewhere else in the folio, or, you know, just to have for ephemera. So you only need 3 of the 4. And what we're going to do here is just simply glue these pockets on. We'll start with this bottom one. And to get the spacing correct on this, what we're going to do is we are going to line them up like this. So they're going to, like, each pocket is going to butt up to the line on the next one, okay? So when you put your glue on this pocket, don't glue this tab yet. We can just add a little bit of extra glue once we have all of our pockets down. So you're just going to glue on the rectangle part and not on the triangle part of the pocket up here, just so we can get our spacing right. And you can, you know, pick whatever order you want for your pockets, of course, or you can use the other side if you want them all to match. And you printed, you know, you printed like I did, all the same pattern. You could have them all the same. It's up to you. I just tried to use a lot of different patterns that kind of coordinated for this one. Oops, I don't want to put glue up there. All right, so I'm gonna just pick this one up here and then slide this pocket down until I feel it hit the, it looks like I didn't cut that one straight, till I feel it hit the side there. And then we're going to do the same thing with this one here. It's going to just go right down until you feel it hit this pocket. Okay, so all those are on. And now all I'm going to do is turn my folio a little bit so I can go ahead and, I guess I could have done this on the last one, huh? And I'm just going to glue down my tabs. And they're going to glue right to the folder above it. When I made the mock-up for this, I actually glued all the pockets together first and then glued them down. So you could do that if you wanted to, but I think this way is just, it's a lot quicker. Because there was a lot of messing around when I did it the other way. Okay, so let's put these down here. And then we can put our folders in. And there's no particular order for these. And they should fit right here in this center section. Oops. I'm trying not to disturb the glue on the side. And so each one of these goes down into here. These are pretty snug, but I think that's good when you have a folio, so things aren't like flying all over the place. Just be careful if you're doing this like me and putting them in right away that you don't pull your edges up. And then we have our last one in there. Okay. All right. Okay, so now we are on this section right here. I'm going to go ahead and take, oh, actually, let's put our little string on here so we can finish this one up here. Put my glue press away here. Okay, so you just need a, like, I don't know, that's probably, is that 2 feet, do you think? Oh, we can measure it. It's 28 inches. That's how much I got here for this. So I'm going to go ahead and tie this here. So that doesn't come out. And this is just the wax thread that I used for my binding of the signatures. You could use embroidery thread. This was embroidery thread here. It doesn't matter. Anything you have is fine. I remember my dad, when I was a kid, used to get envelopes with these policy closures, and like, he thought they were so cool. Okay, here we go. There we go. And then there's that. Clip. I'm going to leave a tail in case I want to hang something from that, because I do like to hang stuff from my closures, because it really makes it very easy to find the end of it when you need to. Okay, so now we're going to move on to this section right here. This is actually going to be a very fun section because it's kind of like a little mini folio that goes on here. Okay, so this is our 6th section, and here's what we need for that. Okay, so we need this little folder here, and we need this piece with the tab on it. Okay, and then we need this here, and then we have a bunch of pockets here, and some bits of ephemera as well. Okay, so these are all the pieces for this section. Okay, so let's see. It's 3 of these pockets, because these are like a stacked pocket here, like that. Okay, 2 of these pockets, and one of this big long one. And then the ephemera pieces are just these here. And then this is the background here. Okay, so let's go ahead and put this one together. We're going to start with the base pieces here, which are these. Okay, so I'm going to put that aside for a second because we're going to do this and then we can just mount it on there. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to put our our tab here on the back, because this is the back part is the part that's going to go against the folio. So here, so we'll have this here, and the way this goes is you could put either one on top. Okay, so there's this, and then it opens up like this, and then we're gonna put our big picture right here. Okay, so let's go ahead and put our tab on first, and then once we have that done, we can do the background image and then the pockets and stuff. Okay, so there's that. Okay. And a little bit extra tape there on the end. Okay, this is gonna go on here, just like this. Oh, don't stick it to itself. There we go. I'm gonna make sure I got it centered here. Okay, there we go with that. So that's how this goes. And like I said, if you prefer it to go like this, then you can make it go like that. Okay, now we are going to put our, I ripped it right there. Oops. I'll have to fix that. Okay, so now we're going to put our main image on here. Actually, we'll put pockets and stuff on here, so you may not even see that. Okay, so this image is going to go right on top of this here. Just make sure everything folds, because I did cut this out, so I might have to take a little smidge off the edge there. Okay, there we go. We get this guy in here. There we go. All right. Okay, so now is your big moment here to decide where you would like to have your pockets. Okay, so we have, for this, we have this one big pocket, which feels like would be really nice right here. And then I have these stacked pockets as well. And this double pocket too. So this could go a couple of ways. I think I am going to, because you could also put a pocket here if you wanted to. It depends on what you want to like store there, you know? Okay, so let's see. I'm going to go ahead and go with this one here. Let's do the edge here. That matches nicely here, and it covers up my little boo-boo that I made right there as well. And then I think I'm gonna go, I could always, that's a hard call here, because I kind of wanted, I could put one of these pockets on here as well. But I kind of like the solid look of the drawers. So, okay, so let's do the double pockets. here. Let's see. Okay, this is supposed to go in here like this. This one can go like that, just like that. We'll do I think the double pockets over here. I could also do it this way if I wanted more contrast, but I don't think I like that. I'm going to go butt that right up against the bottom and the crease. Make sure I can still fold. There we go. They kind of fade into that floral pattern. Go. Okay, so we'll grab some more ephemera for this section in a few minutes when we go back and do the decorating. So here we go with this, and then this, just like that. I might save these, I'm not sure. I'm going to put these in my save pile because I don't know if I want to block this out or not. So, okay. All right, so this goes here, and this goes here. Okay. And then my plan here for this one was to use a paper clip to keep this closed because I feel like it's kind of like an office type situation. So there. Okay, so that's going to go on there. All right, so I'm going to put this onto here. I'm actually going to get okay. So instead of using my precision glue, I'm going to use my art glitter glue without the precision tip on it. So the glue comes out a little faster. There we go. This could go on here. And then just kind of try to center this guy on here. There we go. Okay, and believe it or not, that is the last section of the folio that needs to be put together. Okay, so now we have our entire folio put together, okay, with all of our different sections all installed. And now what we have to do is make the cover and do all of our decorating. So I'm going to stop this video here and then I'm going to pick it up in the next video. So I'll go ahead and link in the description below, and I'll try to put a card in if I can to this video. It just depends like when I'm editing, if I'm able to, if this will be finished uploading and all that stuff. So, okay. So, but it will be in the description below. So, and I will put both links in the package that you guys get of the files. All right, so I'll see you guys in the next video in just a few minutes.